Welcome to our channel History of Coins, where we explore the hidden gems of numismatics. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of US 5-cent coins, as some of these coins are rare and can make you rich overnight. In this video, we are gonna uncover the rarest coins and their values. So make sure to watch the complete video and find out if you have one of these. Now let's continue our today's video. Top 1 today, we're focusing on one of the most talked about coins in American coinage history, the Jefferson nickel from 1964. At first glance, it might seem like just another nickel, but don't be fooled. This coin has secrets that can make it incredibly valuable. Stay tuned until the very end, because I'll reveal exactly how much this coin can be worth under the right circumstances. Let's start with a little history. The year 1964 was a turning point in American coinage. The U.S. Mint struck more Jefferson nickels that year than in any previous year in history. Over 2 billion coins, because the nation was facing a coin shortage. People were hoarding coins, silver prices were rising, and demand for everyday change was skyrocketing. To keep up, the mint flooded the market with nickels, which is why 1964 is such a common date. But here's the catch. Despite being one of the most produced nickels ever, certain 1964 nickels are incredibly rare and highly valuable. Now, let's talk about the design. On the obverse side, you'll find the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag, who won the original design competition back in 1938. On the reverse, we see Monticello, Jefferson's iconic home, with the word Monticello at the bottom and E pluribus unum at the top. It's a design every collector recognizes, but hidden in the details is where the magic happens. So, what makes the 1964 Jefferson nickel so special? It comes down to rarity, condition, and minting errors. Because billions of these nickels were made, most of them are only worth face value. But the rare ones, those with errors or in pristine condition, are the ones collectors go crazy for. Condition is the first factor. Most nickels from 1964 were used heavily in circulation, meaning they're scratched, worn down, or discolored. But if you find one in uncirculated or mint state condition, with sharp details and full luster, its value jumps significantly. And when you move up to coins graded by professional services at very high levels, the price can skyrocket. But the real excitement lies in minting errors and special varieties. One of the most famous is the double die error, where letters or parts of the design appear doubled. These are instantly noticeable under magnification and are highly collectible. There are also off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing, and die cracks, where lines appear across the coin. Some nickels were even struck on the wrong type of planchet, making them truly unique. Another key detail to look for is the mint mark. The 1964 nickels were struck in both Philadelphia, with no mint mark, and Denver, with a D mint mark. But because of the massive production that year, the Denver Mint produced some nickels with repunched mint marks, where the D looks doubled. These varieties are especially valuable and sought after by collectors. Now let's get to the part you've been waiting for, the value reveal. While most 1964 Jefferson nickels are only worth 5 cents, the rarest examples, those in flawless condition or with dramatic mint errors, have been valued as high as $83,000. Yes, you heard that right. $83,000 for a single nickel. Just think about it. A coin that most people spend without a second thought could secretly be worth more than a luxury car, or even enough to cover a college education. That's the thrill of coin collecting. You never know when an ordinary-looking coin might turn out to be a life-changing discovery. So, the next time you come across a 1964 Jefferson nickel, don't just toss it aside. Take a close look, check its condition, and look carefully for errors. You might just be holding one of the rarest and most valuable nickels ever produced. Top 2, we're diving into the world of nickels, specifically the Jefferson nickel from 1969. At first glance, this coin might seem like just another 5-cent piece, but in reality, certain versions of this coin have shocked collectors with their rarity and incredible value. So stay tuned until the end, because I'll reveal just how much this little nickel could be worth in the world of coin collecting. Let's start with some background. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American coinage since 1938, when it replaced the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his iconic home, Monticello, on the reverse. By 1969, the The design was well established, and millions of nickels were being struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. Now here's the interesting part. While millions of nickels were minted in 1969, not all of them are the same. Some carry unique characteristics, minting errors, or conditions that set them apart from the rest. And that's where the true collector excitement begins. Let's talk about design details first. On the obverse, Jefferson's portrait appears with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," along with the date, 1969. On the reverse, Monticello is displayed with sharp detail when the coin is struck properly. But it's those small imperfections that occurred during minting that collectors love the most. Condition is one of the most important factors in determining value. Most 1969 nickels that have circulated heavily are only worth their face value of 5 cents. They're scratched, worn, and discolored from decades of use. But when you find one in mint state condition, shiny, sharp, and free from major flaws, the value increases dramatically. Coins graded at very high levels by professional grading services can bring serious money. But here's where things get even more exciting: mint errors and special varieties. The 1969 Jefferson nickel is known for certain double-die varieties, where the lettering or design appears doubled due to a misalignment during striking. These errors are very rare and instantly make a coin more valuable. Other error types include off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing, die cracks, which leave raised lines on the coin, and wrong planchet errors, where the nickel design was struck on a blank mint for a different denomination. These mistakes create coins that are one of a kind, and collectors go to great lengths to track them down. Another detail to watch closely is the mint mark. In 1969, nickels were struck in Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D, and San Francisco with an S. The San Francisco coins were proofs, made especially for collectors. But even among proof coins, there can be errors, like doubling or striking problems, that push their value far beyond the ordinary. All of this adds up to one important point. While most 1,969 nickels will never be worth more than face value, a rare few, those with dramatic errors or in perfect mint state condition, can be worth staggering amounts of money. And now for the part you've been waiting for, the value reveal. The rarest examples of the 1969 Jefferson nickel, those with high-grade preservation or rare minting errors, have been valued at as much as $80,000. Yes, you heard that right. $80,000 for a single nickel? Just imagine, a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about spending could secretly be worth more than a brand new luxury car, or even enough to make a life-changing difference. That's the thrill of coin collecting. You never know when a small piece of change might turn out to be a treasure. So, the next time you come across a 1969 Jefferson nickel, don't overlook it. Take a careful look at its condition, check the mint mark, and study the details closely for any sign of errors. Who knows? You might be holding one of the most valuable nickels ever made. Top 3, we're diving into a coin that many people overlook: the 1981 Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it's just another 5-cent coin from your pocket change. But as we all know, in the world of coin collecting, the ordinary can sometimes hide something extraordinary. And the 1981 Jefferson nickel is no exception. So sit back, listen carefully, and enjoy this fascinating journey into what makes this nickel so collectible and potentially very valuable. The Jefferson nickel series has been around since 1938, designed by Felix Schlag, featuring the profile of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous Monticello home on the reverse. By 1981, the design had been used for more than 4 decades, and hundreds of millions of nickels were minted across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. Oh, you may be asking, if there were so many made, why would anyone care about a 1981 nickel? The answer lies in the details. The vast majority of these nickels are common and will only ever be worth 5 cents. But in the world of coin collecting, it's the small errors, rare varieties, and exceptional conditions that transform an ordinary coin into a treasure. But let's first talk about the different mints. In 1981, nickels were struck in Philadelphia with no mint mark, in Denver with a D mint mark, and in San Francisco with an S mint mark. The San Francisco nickels were proofs, specially made with mirror-like finishes for collectors. And while these proofs are usually worth more than circulation coins, certain errors and rare varieties within them can make them worth far, far more. Now here's where things get exciting. One of the most famous types of collectible coins is those with double die errors, where the lettering or design appears doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. For 1981 nickels, there are known varieties where the motto, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," shows doubling, making these coins highly desirable. Another fascinating error is the off-center strike. Imagine looking at your nickel and seeing Jefferson's face pushed off to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. These off-center errors can range from slight shifts to dramatic misstrikes, and the more extreme the error, the more valuable the coin. Collectors also look out for clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin is literally missing a chunk due to a mistake in the cutting of the blank metal. Each one of these is unique and instantly turns an ordinary nickel into a collector's item. Condition also plays a huge role. Most 1981 nickels have been in circulation for decades, scratched, worn, and discolored. But if you find one in pristine mint state condition, shiny, detailed, and graded at the very highest levels, it could bring in a surprising amount of money at auction. Some collectors will pay big just to own the finest examples of a particular year. And then there's something called full steps nickels. On the reverse of the coin, Monticello has a staircase. On most nickels, the steps are worn down or not fully struck. But if your 1981 nickel shows all the steps clearly and completely, what collectors call full steps, then you may have a very valuable coin on your hands. Full steps nickels are some of the most sought-after coins in the Jefferson series. When you put all this together, rare errors, special varieties, proof coins, full step strikes, and high-grade conditions, you begin to see why this simple 5-cent coin from 1981 can be worth so much more than its face value. And now comes the part you've been waiting for. The rarest and most valuable examples of the 1981 Jefferson nickel, those with dramatic errors or in extraordinary mint state condition, have been valued as high as $78,000. Yes, you heard that right. $78,000 for a single nickel. Just think about that for a moment. A coin that many people don't even bother to glance at could actually be a life-changing discovery. That's why collectors continue to search, study, and treasure coins like this. It's the thrill of knowing that incredible value might be hiding in plain sight. So the next time you come across a Jefferson nickel from 1981, don't spend it without looking closely. Study it carefully for errors, examine its condition, and who knows, you might just be holding a treasure worth more than you ever imagined. Top 4, we're talking about a coin that millions of people have seen, used, and probably spent without ever thinking twice. The 1984 Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it's just a regular 5-cent piece that you'd find rattling around in your pocket. But believe me, some of these coins are far from ordinary, and a select few can be worth a small fortune. So stay with me, listen carefully, and enjoy this fascinating journey into the world of the 1984 Jefferson nickel. The Jefferson nickel series has a long and rich history. It was first introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, and it has been a staple of American coinage ever since. Designed by Felix Schlag, the obverse shows a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse features his famous Monticello home. By 1984, the design had been around for nearly half a century, but don't let that fool you. This year produced some coins that are rare, unique, and highly desirable to collectors. Now, let's talk numbers. In 1984, hundreds of millions of nickels were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with the familiar mint marks P and D. At the San Francisco Mint, proof nickels were produced with the S mint mark. So yes, plenty of these coins exist, but as always, rarity hides in the details. What makes the 1984 Jefferson nickel special are the errors and varieties that slipped through the cracks at the U.S. Mint. One of the most sought after is the double die error, where parts of the design, such as the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or even Jefferson's eye, appear doubled. For collectors, this type of error is pure gold because it makes the coin stand out as something unique. Another fascinating error is the off-center strike, where Jefferson's portrait is pushed off balance and leaves part of the coin blank. The more dramatic the off-center error, the higher the value. Imagine holding a nickel that looks like no other in existence. That's the kind of mistake collectors love. Then there are clipped planchet errors, where a piece of the coin's edge is missing because of a mistake during production. These odd-shaped nickels are extremely collectible because every clipped planchet coin is different and tells its own story of how it was created. And of course, we can't forget about condition. The truth is, most nickels from 1984 have been used heavily, tossed in jars, dropped on sidewalks, and worn down from decades of circulation. But if you find one in pristine, uncirculated condition, what collectors call mint state, it could be worth far more than 5 cents. And if it has the rare full steps detail on Monticello, showing every single stair sharply struck, then you're looking at a true prize. Full steps nickels are some of the most sought-after pieces in the Jefferson Nickels series because they are incredibly difficult to find. Put all of these factors together: double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, full steps, and high mint state grades, and suddenly this simple 1984 nickel becomes a treasure worth hunting for. And now for the part you've been waiting for: the potential value. The rarest, most pristine, and error-filled examples of the 1984 Jefferson nickel have been valued at an astonishing $76,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $76,000 for a 5-cent coin that most people would never even notice as, oh, the next time you're digging through your change. Don't overlook the nickels from 1984. Take a close look, because you just might be holding a coin that could change your life. Top 5. We are diving into a fascinating piece of American coinage history, the 1988 Jefferson nickel. Now, at first glance, this coin might look just like any other nickel sitting in your pocket change. But the truth is, some very special examples of this year can be worth a fortune. So listen very carefully, enjoy this story, and let's explore why the 1988 Jefferson nickel is more than just 5 cents. It's a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. The Jefferson nickel has been around since 1938, designed by Felix Schlag, with its classic obverse showing a portrait of Thomas Jefferson and the reverse featuring his iconic Monticello home. By the time 1988 rolled around, the design was well known and widely used across the nation. But here's the exciting part. While millions were minted at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, it's not just about how many coins were produced. It's about the mistakes, the errors, and the rare variations that slipped through and made certain coins incredibly valuable. Let's start with the most famous error collectors search for: the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck with a die that has been misaligned or doubled, creating a doubled image on words like "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or even Jefferson's eye. To the untrained eye, it might look like a blur, but for collectors, it's a jackpot. These double details are one of the main reasons certain 1988 nickels fetch huge sums at auctions. Another fascinating type is the off-center strike, where Jefferson's portrait is noticeably shifted to one side, leaving a blank crescent of space on the coin. The more dramatic the off-center error, the rarer and more valuable it becomes. Then we have clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin's edge is missing because of a mistake during the blanking process. These create oddly shaped nickels that instantly stand out, and collectors absolutely love them. But it doesn't stop there. Condition is key when it comes to value. Most 1988 nickels you'll find in circulation are worn down, scratched, and faded. But if you happen to come across one in pristine, uncirculated condition, what collectors call mint state, it can be worth much more. And if your coin has the full steps detail on Monticello, where every single stair is sharply struck and visible, you're looking at one of the rarest and most sought-after examples. It's these little details, errors, high grades, and strong strikes that turn an ordinary 5-cent coin into a collector's dream. Now, let's talk about the number everyone wants to hear. The most extraordinary examples of the 1988 Jefferson nickel, those with rare errors and found in top condition, have been valued as high as $74,000. Yes, $74,000 for a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about spending on a candy bar the next time you're digging through your change jar or counting nickels at the store. Don't ignore the 1988 Jefferson nickel. Take a closer look, because that ordinary-looking coin could be hiding extraordinary value. If you found this story interesting, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more rare coin discoveries, and ring the bell so you never miss another chance to uncover hidden treasure. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, you might be holding the next big coin in your own hands.